Do you ever watch your favorite TV show, or do you ever watch weddings and movies and think, is that actually realistic? And oh my gosh, I love that so much. I want that for myself. Well, being a wedding planner and having planned over 200 weddings in the course of 7 years, I tend to watch weddings in movies and on TV shows with a rather critical eye these days. So if you're like me, you're probably someone who binge watches Friends, and I know I personally fall asleep to Friends every single night, and I always get rather excited when someone is about to get married. So today I'm super excited. I wanted to just take you through a little bit of the Friends weddings and give you my take on them, and maybe, put a little bit of reality into the not so realistic world of entertainment Hollywood weddings. Okay, so we're gonna start with Ross's wedding to Emily that happened in London. So I'm just gonna roll into it. Okay, and my first thoughts when I look at the opening scene of this wedding is, where the heck is all the electricity coming from? I mean, this is supposed to be a burned down church that's demolished, there's rubble everywhere. The night before the wedding, they go in and they're gonna clean every single thing up, and they're gonna get this whole place up and running to this beautiful wedding that Ross and Emily are gonna have here within literally hours. I mean, let's be honest, outside the church, there is probably 50 pillar candles with just the perfect flame blowing in the wind. I mean, that would be my dream, to arrive to a church that's fully lit outside by candles, welcoming me into this warm, glowy, candlelit, romantic glow. But let's get real here. Those candles, they're not staying lit. Candles barely stay lit inside a ballroom with the slightest AC blowing. They're not staying lit outside on the streets of London. Okay, and I love a good twinkle light as much as the next girl, but where on earth is all the electricity coming from? Are we gonna run 15 generators? Do we have 1 million outlets? How many power bars am I gonna need to run literally 5,000 twinkle lights in this demolished church? I don't hear any buzz of generators running here, and I'm pretty sure this church doesn't have working power outlets, so this might be a little unrealistic.
Oh my God! It's like a fairyland.
I know, it's horrible, isn't it?
Okay, it totally is like a fairyland, but these are the two women, the mother of the bride and the mother of the groom. Are they not worried that the venue that they booked, I'm assuming a few weeks or months ahead of time, just got demolished? I mean, was there a contract? Was there a contact at the venue? Was nobody gonna reach out to them and tell them, hey, your wedding's happening, you can't get married here anymore? Where was the deposit? Did they get that back? All things that I would be asking.
Hey, you keep pushing me on this, my foot's gonna meet the middle of your ass.
What's going on?
Okay, so I think it's hilarious that the dads are fighting about who's paying for the wedding, literally minutes before the ceremony is about to begin. In reality, all of these things have already been paid for. There's absolutely no reason why the family should be arguing about who's paying for what, literally until the end of the night on the wedding day, because I know this argument continues as the show goes on.
Family, are gathered to celebrate here today the joyous union of Ross and Emily.
Okay, so a few things that I love about Ross and Emily's wedding. I love how small it is. It looks like there might be 20 to 30 people there, and I know they go on later in the evening to have their reception in this little private home, and I think it's so wonderful, especially where it is a destination wedding. They have their closest people there with them. It's small, it's intimate. They're likely going to be able to enjoy we know Ross and Emily aren't able to enjoy their guests, but if this were a real life wedding, they would get to enjoy the entire day and spend a lot of time with the people that they love most. I also love the bridesmaids' dresses. Those red with the spaghetti straps, I think that's totally back in. And if you were having a fall or a winter wedding, or if you just really wanted to do something a little bit different and be a little punchy, I think this red could be a great way to go.
Hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
Take thee, Emily.
Take thee, Rachel.
I just cringe every time I watch that. I can't even imagine the amount of emotion that is just flooding through everyone in that room in that moment. If I was the wedding planner of this wedding and I was there in that moment, I think I would honestly hope that what the minister did here, look at the bride and ask her if she wanted to continue, was the right choice. And I think that, you know, in that moment, you just have to decide one way or another. Are we gonna plow forward with this? Is this something that I think can work? They're about to go ahead and make this thing actually legal. Let's pray, hope to God that this never does actually happen to anyone out there watching, or it never happens at any one of our weddings. But it's okay if anything, you know, big and drastic does happen, to just take a moment and pause. We don't have to just like plow through and rush ahead if something does happen at a wedding. Yeah, things happen. Life comes up, and you just gotta move forward. It's not the movies. It's not perfect all the time. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the next famous friend's wedding, Monica and Chandler's much anticipated wedding. They had a beautiful ceremony. One thing about bagging up pre-ceremony that I think is really funny from Monica and Chandler's wedding is the morning of her wedding, when Monica comes out and she sits down and she's ready to do her own hair and makeup. I mean, are you telling me that she lives in New York City, is getting married at like a plaza-like venue, and she's doing her own hair and makeup? I'm pretty sure real life Monica would have a professional hairstylist and makeup artist hired for her and her bridesmaids.
I've been taking dancing lessons.
What?
Yeah, for the last 6 weeks.
Okay, I think this is really cute. One thing that I've been seeing starting to become more of a trend, and I know it's very popular in the United States at weddings, is dancing before dinner. So actually having your band or your DJ kind of get the party started before everyone sits down to dinner. And when I've seen this happen, what I really like about it is that it sets a really good tone and energy for the day. So as you can see here, all of the guests have arrived to the wedding and the band is already going. So people are mixing, mingling, and then some people are on the dance floor and they're getting dancing already. And it really, I think, adds to the overall experience of the day. So to be able to kind of get that going a little bit earlier in the day is something that can be really fun. And I also really enjoy that Monica and Chandler decided to come in and do their first dance as their grand entrance. I think, you know, having a grand entrance makes a statement and announces the bride and groom in a wonderful way, but to come in and go right to the dance floor and have your first dance in that moment is just another way of like, hey, we're here, we're special. It gets the dancing out of the way. Lucky for Chandler, it seems like he really needed to do that, and allows them just to ease into the rest of the night.
Oh, guess what, Molly Gilbert? You've just been bumped up to table 1.
Okay, I think this scene is really fun, and there's a few things that I note when I watch this scene. So Ross, obviously being brother of the bride, is supposed to be sitting at table 1, the head table. In my mind as a wedding planner, we're gonna notice when Molly Gilbert, this little girl that's supposed to be sitting at the kids' table, is bumped up to the head table. And Monica, being the planner that she is 100% gonna recognize that Ross is at the wrong table as soon as he moves in there. Number 2, I noticed that they decided to do an all kids table. I think an all kids table can work 50% of the time. In this scene, it does seem like the children are the right age that they can entertain themselves. Children, when they attend weddings, if they're, I would say, you know, 7 and below, should be sitting with their parents, or they should be in a designated area with either a babysitter or someone there responsible for them, so that they are entertained and that they aren't, you know, causing a ruckus and screaming out and you know, being obnoxious when perhaps speeches or other important elements of the night is going on. Okay, so just looking at this wedding as a whole, this is a pricey wedding. I know that they spend all of Chandler's savings on the wedding, but you know, when I'm looking at this wedding, we're talking a ballroom in New York City. It looks to be a beautiful meal. They've got a great big swing band. The flowers alone are outrageous. I'm thinking, you know, anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 alone on flowers, not to mention all of the other things that are going on with this day. I would say this is a wedding upwards of $50, maybe even $100,000. Let's be honest, I love Monica and Chandler's wedding. I think every girl, can take something from Monica and Chandler's wedding and apply it to her own. The bridesmaids' dresses, stunning. Monica's like relaxed glam look, amazing. The flowers, the setting, the music, just everything about this wedding was honestly so wonderful, and just like I said before, exactly what I would expect of a Monica Geller wedding. I'm so excited to dive into this one. Phoebe and Mike's wedding is like the wedding of all Friends weddings. It ties the entire series of Friends together so beautifully, and it just gives me like all the warm and fuzzies when I think about this wedding, and I think about Phoebe and how this comes together so perfectly for her. So let's get into this one.
But how hard is it to make an ice sculpture?
Ice sculpture? That sounds really fancy. I told you, I just want a simple wedding.
Please, honey, leave the details to me.
One time I did one of those like personality tests, and it told you what celebrities and what TV characters you're most like, and I actually got Monica Geller, and it made me so happy because this scene where Monica is just like totally taking charge of Phoebe's wedding, and she's getting everything done for her, and it totally comes full circle after Phoebe fires her, and then it all goes to hell because of the weather that day, and she hires Monica back, and she pulls off such an amazing wedding for her. Just makes me feel so happy. Like, I can relate, Monica. I can totally relate.
The chef is at the Hamilton Club, but the food is not, and the drinks are there, but the bartender is not. Are you freaking kidding me?
How's it going?
Help me.
What?
I want you to be crazy bitch again.
Thank you, Friends, for doing my job for me. You're selling the services of a wedding planner right here with this scene. It is so important to have someone to help you with your wedding. Things are going to happen. It might be supposed to be the perfect sunny day, and then it's a hurricane. You might be wanting to get married in the middle of the winter, and it storms. Your venue might be torn down and, a pile of rubble the week before you're supposed to get married. And if you assign someone to it and they're there to help you, you'll be able to actually just, get through it. It's still gonna be a little stressful. It is your wedding day after all, but going through it with the support of someone else who is there for you, who's making your perfect day their priority, it will help you a million times over. So I can't say it enough times over that, consider hiring a wedding planner. And if it might not be something that, is in the budget or that you feel the need for, at least have an assigned friend or family member that can be your go-to person when things start to happen.
Okay, it's 0 hour. All teams execute on my count. Let's get this bad boy on the road.
Okay, so we're not exactly that military intense when we're sending our couples down the aisle, but we do take it very seriously. We need to make sure that those boys are at the altar and they're lined up in the appropriate order before the girls start coming down the aisle. And if music needs to start at 1 minute and 17 seconds, you better believe you're not walking down that aisle until 1 minute and 17 seconds. It's gonna be the perfect moment, and we're gonna guarantee that for you. When we think about Phoebe and Mike's wedding day and how perhaps realistic it is, getting married in the middle of the street in New York City in a snowstorm, again with the lights and the power, where's the power coming from? I'm still curious to know where all of these generators are hiding outside of the shots. Probably not the most realistic take on a backup to a wedding day, to a wedding ceremony, but we always do have to have backups in mind. So wherever our couples are getting married, no matter the time of year, if it is intended to be somewhere outdoors, or if it's intended to be somewhere that, we just frankly should have a backup plan, that's always going in the backs of our minds. We've gotta have backups on backups on backups on backups. Here's everything that I love about Phoebe and Mike's wedding. It was supposed to be one thing, turned out to another, and it was even better. And honestly, that is what makes great stories. That's what you're gonna tell your grandchildren one day when you're old on your rocking chair, and that's what you're gonna look back on your wedding day, and you're gonna be so thankful that things didn't go exactly as you planned them to go, because it's gonna make a story and it's gonna be so much better. And that's kind of life, right? when things happen that were unexpected or we didn't plan, those are the best days and the best moments. And I think Phoebe and Mike's wedding is the perfect example of that. You know, they got married outside the coffee shop that they spent all of their time with all of their friends. It was cold, it was in the middle of the winter, but she made do. The music, oh, her friend playing the steel drums, like that music, it's still like, it stays with me. I think it's so beautiful. The dog, the parents, just everything about Phoebe and Mike's wedding was so unique. It was so special, it was so imperfect, and it was them. And I think that's what makes the best weddings, is weddings that are a true representation of the couple themselves. And I hope you take that with you when you're planning your own day. So there you have it, my take on 3 of the famous friends' weddings. I hope you enjoyed watching this and hearing, you know, some of the realities and some of the fun things from these friends' weddings. I know I really enjoyed doing this with you, and I hope that, you know, the next time you're watching a TV show or a movie and you see a wedding scene come on, you'll spend a little bit of extra time thinking about the realities behind pulling that actual event off in real life.